Good morning, it's Kevin and Lisa with REALean, Evolve Real Estate in St. Petersburg, Florida. And we're just out on our morning walk and actually just getting familiar with YouTube live streaming. And made a video just a couple minutes ago about our morning routine. But Lisa and I were thinking about a phone call that we had yesterday. The buyer of one of our listings called us. She was having difficulty with the water heater. The water heater was just installed about 6-7 months ago, right when she was purchasing it, and she's already having issues. So she asked for the plumber, and I didn't have that information, so I called the seller. He was very quick to have it. And while I was talking with that seller, who's an investor, and we helped him on one sale, but he's invested numerous times in the St. Petersburg, Clearwater area. I asked him, how you doing? What's going on? And he said, oh, we're having some trouble. We bought a house off of an auction real estate website. It seemed like a really great deal. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a mother-in-law suite in what used to be the enclosed back porch. And so he's doing a lot of work as he renovates this property, and the city is coming in to talk about, or to inspect the work that he's doing. They see that this mother-in-law suite is in the enclosed porch, and they determined that it was never properly permitted, that permits weren't pulled, and now they're going to have to retroactively go backwards and permit a part of the home renovation that they didn't do. They bought it that way, and the home is in a flood zone here in St. Petersburg, which means that there are certain FEMA mandated regulations, restrictions, and just how much you're able to renovate and improve a property. Pardon me. And it's a mess. And he's dealing with engineers and contractors and the city and all sorts of permits. Of course, he bought this property on his own, without us, without an agent representing them, because that's what these auction sites try to do. They don't offer a real estate agent a commission of any real value. They might offer us $500 or something almost, I don't know what you'd call that, but like a token bit of compensation, which means that the buyers, who are typically investors, would have to pay their real estate agent directly. And even if you were to do it for a flat fee or for a predetermined amount, a lot of times these investors don't want to do that. And then what happens? They find themselves in way over their heads with renovation expenses, delays, limits. What else were we were talking about, the different issues with that he was facing. What were some of the other?
Just extra costs and extra time, and sometimes those projects get put on hold indefinitely because the county won't even allow the work to be done because of the different FEMA rules.
Yeah, so he buys a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. He might have to take it down to a 2-bedroom, 1-bath home, which is not what he thought he was buying.
Exactly. So that has burned up his opportunity for profit.
Which is not to say that these aren't smart investors, but
it's just an unknown that's out there, and it's our job as real estate agents to educate our buyers and sellers as to these different obstacles that they might run into. And there is value in having a buyer's agent, and we just have to bring that expertise to them and make them aware of it.
And this isn't so much an ad saying, you know, a video to tell buyers, you know, you must have a real estate agent. You know, buyers need to just be looking as deeply as the real estate agent would be looking. You know, it's the real estate agent isn't going to want to sell them a piece of junk that they're going to have issues with. And buyers who don't necessarily want to hire a real estate agent don't want to buy properties that are junk that will have problems.
And as agents, these are things, you know, when we typically are working with a buyer, you know, one of the first things that we do is we pull open the property appraiser site and we look at the home and we make sure that if there's been an addition, that it has been properly permitted.
Yeah,
That's one of the things we always do.
We look to make certain that the county record shows the square footage as it actually exists. If the house has more finished square footage than the county records are showing, that's our first indicator. Next thing we do is call the county or the city and determine before purchase, you know, what's the status on this additional living space. And if you're a real estate agent, you want to be very mindful, especially when working with investors, but this could bite people no matter what their motivation is. They could be people who are just wanting to buy a home for their family, and that extra space looks really attractive and that it's a relatively good value. If some of that work has not been permitted, it could be insurance issues. If your home had some type of catastrophic damage, your insurance coverage might be limited because that space isn't permitted.
Exactly. And also, when you're selling the property, the lenders don't want to lend. A lending appraisal will ignore property that or ignore rooms that have not been permitted.
Yeah, they'll just completely not even count that space for their appraisal. And
then your property won't appraise for what it should, and then you're limited to only cash buyers, and the title companies sometimes pick up on these things too. If there's open permits, that can cause a problem right before closing.
You bet.
So it's best to do a little research and make sure that there has been permits and that they have been properly closed out. And these are things that we can be advisors to our buyers on.
Here we go. We're just gonna walk this way for right now as we continue our morning walk and try to stay out of the direct sunlight for a little while longer here in May in Florida. Well, we hope this has been helpful for you. You have to just be very mindful that the property you're purchasing is actually a property that can be insured and appraised and utilized the way that you think it should. We hope you find that helpful. Have a great day.